Good afternoon, lovely people of the internet, if you're watching us live, or good evening or good morning, or I don't know, whatever, if you're watching us on replay. If you can hear shuffling in the background, it's because I've got a very curious kitten, not a euphemism, an actual baby cat, who has found its way into a bag of, I don't know what, a doom bag beside my desk. So if that's the shuffling. So as part of our commitment at EOTAS Matters to put interesting professionals in front of you, we are running changemaker sessions for people who are in our world, where I bring a changemaker to you, someone who's working in the field of SEN, education, mental health, wellbeing, home ed, EOTAS, alternative provisions. And today I'm meeting the incredible Rachel from Buttercup Learning. I say meeting, we've met before, but you're meeting her. So I'm going to let her introduce herself whilst I do some sharing of this all over the place. So Rachel, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm looking forward to some summer holidays in the next week or so. I'm really honest.
I'm glad that we've got a little bit of a breather, but also everywhere is so much busier. So we have a little bit of dread around that in our house, but we'll manage. So tell me a little bit about you while I'm sharing you in all the places. Tell us a bit about your background.
So I guess I kind of label myself as an educator, mainly because I've taught every age group on the planet, from 4-year-olds to 98-year-olds. So my main teaching job at the moment is as a senior lecturer in animation, but I have also taught animation workshops to kids as young as 4 and master students as old as 89, I believe.
Wow.
But alongside being a lecturer, I also run Buttercup Learning, which I founded in 2020, the year that we will try and forget. And it's very much a nature-based learning brand that supports neurodivergent children to get outdoors and explore nature on our doorsteps. So all of the educational content that I create is very much around UK wildlife. My experience as both an educator across all those different age groups and as a parent of a neurodivergent daughter has really shaped how and why I've built Buttercup. I wanted to create a nature-inspired learning company that actually works for children with their sensory and emotional needs. And it really grew out of what we needed in our own family. And it's become something that now helps other families too, which is fantastic.
And kind of what did you see in terms of the bit that was missing, like for your children?
Yeah, so I have a daughter who's nine years old, and at the age of 3, she decided that she was going to learn to read. So obviously, we looked around at books that could support that. She worked with a phonics tutor. Her preschool were really keen to sort of support that as well. But she started to reject the books because she said they were all about other people's families, and she didn't recognize herself in those books. And also, actually, she wasn't interested in people. She was absolutely obsessed with the natural world and wanted to find out more about the bees, the butterflies, the worms of the world. So it was really kind of looking at it from that point of view. It was her desire to learn to read and then being immediately bored by what was on offer. So, goodbye Biff, Chip and Kipper, and hello, brimstone butterflies, really.
Amazing. And so what you do now is you've kind of built from what you made for your own child, and now you make it available to other families. And what does that look like? Like what kind of things do you do?
Well, at the very beginning of Buttercup, we were exploring early years readers, so chapter books around kind of like learning the basics. So we created a project at the height of lockdown called the Insects Alphabet Book, which combined augmented reality and sounds so that a child could actually read the book themselves, so they could listen to the audio rather than having that parent or teacher being the guide. The book itself was the guide to learning to read. And that came about very much from understanding my daughter's PDA profile and had that sense of autonomy that she really wanted. And obviously my animation background came into that as well. And I've done a lot of ed tech stuff in my past as well, which might seem kind of interesting because we've kind of gone not completely past our ed tech roots as in Buttercup Learning, but I've kind of started to combine a much more kind of balanced point of view between getting kids to use apps that are around kind of investigating animals outside, using ID apps, let's say, for example, and then very much kind of hands-on, no screen-based kind of work as well. So I now create nature activity boxes and digital packs that really encourage that digital kid to get off the screen and get outside. I will see my own experience. I know that isn't always easy, whether that's because your child has social anxiety, maybe is demand avoidant, or maybe actually that they're not in the right headspace to be, exploring outside. So we built Buttercup so it's kind of layered, so there can be gentle prompts to get kids who are reluctant, or maybe it's about finding the hook that sparks their imagination. It could be a particular topic. My daughter's preference was bees, butterflies, and marine life, which is why we started with those as themes for the first batch of boxes.
And I've seen your resources, and they're absolutely gorgeous because they're all hand illustrated by professional illustrators, so they're beautiful. My son is this summer he's working in a forest provision, and I was like, go and have a look at these. He was like, these are amazing. And like he was like, this is the kind of thing that I wanted when I was like, like 5, 6, 7, 8. Same as your child. He wasn't really interested in. He was like, why do I want to know what other people think? I want to know what I think, and I want to know about the world, and I think that's quite a common experience. I know that when we spoke before, I shared with you that when I was younger, we used to get, and you remembered it, you used to get a thing called the Humpty Dumpty Club through our letterbox. I can't remember how often it came, but it was like a kind of activities pack, and it was the highlight of our term when this Humpty Dumpty Club pack arrived. If anyone ever remembers Humpty Dumpty Club, tell me, because I think Rachel's the only person I've ever found yet who remembers it. I'm showing my age, but it came addressed to me, and it had like colouring sheets and word searches and flashcards, but it was just so exciting when that post arrived for me. And I love that's kind of built into, if people decide to get your physical box, because you do them a digital and physical, don't you? But if people decide to get the physical box, the kid can have the delivery, they can have the post, and I just think that's lovely. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, it wasn't until you mentioned that actually that I suddenly realized that, it's that thing, isn't it? It's your lived experience. So when I was growing up, I was the only kid at a botanical illustration course at a summer school. And everybody else was 60 plus, lots of elderly ladies doing, illustration, really tidy, very precise kind of botanical drawings in watercolor. And then these like little links back to your own childhood, like, I've started to realize that Buttercup is the sum of all those experiences, really. So getting the Humpty Dumpty Club and having that kind of subscription thing, that joy of it, of receiving posts that's just for you as a very young kid. I must have been about 5 or 6. And then being this teenager in this world of other people, very, very serious about, making sure that the illustration of the flower or the buds was, absolutely spot on. And then when I studied at university animation illustration, guess what? My films were about nature again. I did a film about how carrion beetles are used to pick the bones off, pick the flesh off bones in scientific labs. So,
right.
And then I did another film about Toxocara, and the effects of that on children who might maybe pick up that parasitic infection on football playing fields. And it's like, and then guess what? The thing I really enjoyed in my university teaching job was supporting conservation charities to make animated films with students. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can see there's a pattern building there, isn't there, of this curiosity, or could almost say slight obsession with the natural world.
Intense interest. We'll go with that, Chloe.
Yes.
What do you think that is for our neurodivergent children? Why is it that nature is so appealing? Have you got a theory?
Yeah, I think it's for me, and maybe for my daughter as well. It's that kind of sensory release, So nature can be a lot quieter than the man-made world, and certainly when you're in schools or colleges or workplaces, they can be quite busy places. And in nature, you can also just be yourself as well. Animals are not judgmental. Whether it's your pet dog or cat or the local fox or whatever it might be, there's not that kind of pressure to be something.
There's no social rules, right? You don't have to try and read facial expressions, or animals are very good at letting you know whether they want to be with you or not, because if they don't, they'll just take off. And I think that, so my son is obsessed with all things animal and nature. He's doing a zoo management degree, and like I said, he's working in a forest setting for the summer. My cat is wrecking my interior decor. Like he's always been like fascinated by, especially like the gritty, grimy side of nature. Like he loves getting his hands in the tadpoles, and like that's not for me. But like he comes back from the forest setting, and all the kids that are there, because it's littlies, they all wear those head to toe, those like waterproof suits, and just like roll around in the puddles and have the time, and like get stuck in the mud kitchen. And there aren't many opportunities for kids to be like wild like that, right?
I also think, because I grew up in suburbia, but it was quite open sort of fields and lots of playing fields, and then there was a man-made lake where I lived on the outskirts of Middlesbrough. So I was quite lucky in my childhood in the 80s that I grew up sort of surrounded by greenery. It wasn't countryside, but it was this kind of like open space to kind of explore. And one of the other things that I've been very keen to sort of develop for Buttercup is this idea of just getting kids outdoors. And I love the fact that you sort of picked up on it yourself, that nature's kind of open-ended. So you can start looking at the British bumblebee species, for instance, and how many they are and stuff, and then that can sort of go off on a tangent into pollination and then farming and food and all sorts of things, and it kind of is naturally progresses into those topics. So, and I think a lot of neurodivergent children and adults really kind of connect with that and appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why like old school primary teaching was always project based, right? Because you can learn so much through that shared interest area, right? So like we did Egyptians, kings and queens, all that. I remember all of that. But, you can bolt on other learning, like let's count the leaves. What color is this? You could pull a teddy bear out of a dead mummy. That's what Theo just offered up as part of his learning Egyptians. I don't know if it was a historically accurate teddy bear. But it's kind of like, it's much more intuitive learning, isn't it? It's kind of, you can kind of take it where you want to. Amazing. So I know that, so what kind of people kind of use your resources? What kind of families come to you?
Yeah, it's a real mix. So you get everything from home educators who are kind of unschooling, taking that kind of approach, to ones who kind of take a much more structured approach. So for the unschooling families, they tend to use the activities as kind of the child-led, the choice is there for the child to pick from the box. And I know that works really well with my PDA daughter, for instance. She, you can leave stuff out for her and then she picks something from the activity box. And she's also been the biggest critic and champion of my business as well, telling me exactly what works for her age group and what's boring and what needs to be done differently.
Best thing about PDA kids is they let you know what they want. Worst thing about PDA kids is they let you know what they want.
And
having the PDA,
So that's actually been a blessing in some respects, because I can go down a complete rabbit hole and stuff, and she sort of brought me back to the audience, so that's been really good. And some families use it as part of bigger curriculums if they're into that. Others just dip in and out, a bit like 30 Days Wild. You find a lot of the people who love that really love what Buttercup does.
Yeah. And I like that thing about when we were talking about Humpty Dumpty Club, the thing I loved about it was it came, and I think because my mum was financially invested, like me and my brother both got one. I think it was like our family time. She was like, right, it's here, let's get it out together, let's look at it together. So I remember like some of my fondest memories are sitting on the carpet with my mum with the flashcards, with the colouring in sheets, like, and that might not work for every family, but for me, that's such a fond, joyful memory. And it kind of like gave structure without being too rigid. Do you know what I mean? I was deciding what we were doing, but it was time with my mum, it was lovely. I love it.
Yeah.
So you've got a free resource as well, haven't you? So talk to me about what this is. So it's
the one that I'm sharing today is called 10 Ways to Start a Nature-Based Learning Journey. It's very much a short, sensory-friendly guide for parents who want to bring learning outdoors. It's without pressure, which I think is really important. Includes some really simple steps, some sensory ideas, sort of sensory circuit ideas, and ways to sort of adapt nature play for your child. One of the things that somebody who's already seen it said they loved about it was that it actually had ideas for each age group. So we've got in there toddler, child, preteen and teen and so on. And a lot of times teens get left out of nature learning because we assume that they don't want to go outdoors anymore. They're too screen based. But actually, I think it's nice to kind of try and encourage a little bit of interaction, as you said, as a family as well. So I've included ideas there that might appeal to an older audience. So there are things like stargazing activities. There's all sorts of suggestions around that. And it's meant to be for either people who are just starting their home ed journey, or for families that maybe just need a little bit of support right now, and are looking for something that's going to be gentle and fun to do, really.
It's interesting what you said about teenagers, because I know that we do assume that teenagers retreat and like aren't as interested, but actually in our house, that was when the difference between my son and his peers became most obvious, because his peers wanted to go and hang around outside shops in town. He wanted to go and build a den, or he wanted to go and get mucky, or he wanted to go to the zoo. So it's kind of like, I think that for some of our neurodivergent kids, that, like he's doing a zoo management degree, that love of animals and nature has not gone away, and it's going to become a career. You know what I mean? So for those of us who have kids who are, inspired in that way, I think it's so useful to have something that we can lean into for those older young people, because you're right, they get left out. It's assumed that they'd rather, and like it's fine if they want to go and hang around outside shops, but certainly that wasn't Theo's experience. Definitely not.
I've heard a few adults say that they would like me to create an adult version of the box as well, and the digital packs, and that's something maybe for the future.
You, as in grown up, not as in adult. Adult content, because that's a whole other niche. I mean, like, never say never, Rachel. Zero here. But
I'm not going to be sort of creating the naturist box instead of the naturalist box anytime soon. I mean grown-ups.
And what are you working on? What's coming up for you?
Oh, right now we're working on the autumn, the pack and Nature Curious box. It's called Seed Spreaders. So it kind of says in the title what it is. So it's focused on how animals help plants grow. Very much, again, packed with hands-on nature crafts, activities, outdoor prompts, environmental science. It weaves in maths and literacy as well. And importantly, well-being, because we all know that being outside for everybody can really help lift our mood. And time just spent in green space is so good for us.
100%. So your boxes, your resources, they last a term, is that right?
They kind of follow the sort of seasonal path rather than a sort of school term or a term. So there's a delivery, there's 4 boxes or 4 digital packs available each year. You can either buy them individually as a one-off, or you can subscribe to either the physical box or the digital pack. And those boxes and packs are released at the beginning of spring, summer, autumn, and winter.
Amazing. So people can go on your website and get one now if they want one.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And tell me, I hope people are sitting down, because tell me how affordable your resources are. Because when you told me, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, at the moment, the digital pack version of Nature Curious for a single box every quarter. So you pay £5 at the moment every quarter, and you'll get
£5, people,
for 12 activities that are beautifully
£5.
illustrated and focused on British wildlife.
Yeah, get on this before Rachel does what I told her to do, which is to put her prices up. But actually, I think your intention is to keep the digital one around that price point, right? And then people can have a
offer.
Well, right?
Exactly. So currently the Nature Curious box, so the physical letterbox version of it, is £20 every quarter, which is still actually, it's still good value. I'm making a profit from it still. It's so it's sensibly priced from a point of view as a business person. But I wanted to make it so that it would be something, that maybe wasn't out of people's price bracket in terms of that. And obviously the digital pack hopefully is affordable for most people.
I mean, if you go into like WH Smith's and buy a magazine, a kid's magazine, it's going to cost you £5. It is. Yeah. Whereas with this, you're getting hand illustrated, education-led, child-led, nature-based activities and resources.
Yeah, and also at the moment, which we're trying to encourage more people into, because I have a free Facebook group called My Nature Family, but also have the Nature Curious Club, which is for people who've subscribed or bought products from Buttercup. That's off Facebook. It's very much a private space, and we want to encourage more families to join that, not just buy the box or pack. Come and join the free group once you sign up as well, because that gives you, once a week prompt and every season and an extra one activity sheet as well, beautifully illustrated.
And they are beautiful. I've seen them. They're really, really lovely. Yeah. So if, like me, you love a bargain and you like supporting neurodivergent owned businesses and you like using resources that are made by other neurodivergent families, then please go and find Rachel and Buttercup Learning. I can personally vouch for the quality of the resources. I've seen them. They're excellent. They're incredible value, and I would love it if you would go and give them some support, and also go and get something incredible for your family. This is not just about supporting Rachel. It's really good stuff. So do go and find Rachel. Do go on our website, get her freebie. If you're not in the market for buying something, then definitely get her freebie. It's incredible. She over delivers. This is what you can get. This is what you get from Rachel. She over delivers, and you will benefit from it greatly if you go and get her freebie. But thanks for being with me this afternoon, Rachel. It's been lovely to chat to you. Is there anything you need me to make sure that we say before we finish? Because I've rambled over the top of you.
There was one more thing might be of interest to your audience. I'm about to start writing a book called Seasons of Play. And I'm looking for families who would love to share their favorite nature and outdoor learning activities to be part of that book as well. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me to appear in the book with some of their favorite family suggestions, I'd love to hear from them.
I love that. And how should they reach out to you?
They can contact me either through Facebook Messenger, or you can find me on Instagram, buttercup_hello, or just drop me an email, rachel@buttercuplearning.com.
Rachel, I'm putting it in the comments now, @buttercuplearning.com. Look at me, multitasking. There we go. So if that's you, and if you'd like to contribute to Rachel's book, which will be gorgeous, I can tell you from the get-go, then please drop her an email. Enjoy the rest of your day, my love.
I will.
People who watched us live, thank you. If this was helpful to you and you want to share with other families, give it a share. And if you're watching on replay, hello from the past, hello to the future. And we will see you all soon. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Rachel. Bye.
Bye.